Greetings, beautiful ones, and welcome. This is Nazan in Marashian, Love and Heart Art, deep dive into tools for empowerment and healing. I have been sitting with a lot of vulnerability and self-healing of late, and I felt to share some of the insights and practices that have helped me come into deeper alignment with healthy relationships, both platonic and romantic. And that the practice is actually self-exploration, pleasure practice, as a way into cultivating healthy and fully embodied heart and soul relationships. For me, so much of this work has been activated with my twin flame connection, which I will dedicate a whole other episode to, because it's a big sharing on that one and a very interesting journey indeed. Currently I am in separation with my twin flame, but nonetheless, as I'm recording this episode, that connection and that deep unconditional love and self-love that has bloomed from this activation remains ever present and expansive. So I shared that because that is the context, a bit of background to how self-exploration has led me into a more fully embodied and greater sense of a healthy relationship, not only with myself but with others. And being in integrity is really important for me. As a practitioner, I never speak about anything I haven't experienced and embodied myself. And it is taking me somewhat out of my comfort zone, talking about pleasure practice on this platform. Certainly I'm open to speak about it in my women's circles and face-to-face. I won't go into details, of course, but I do want to, and I feel that it's very important to open this conversation, to shatter taboos and bring pleasure back into the conversation. So much healing and self-love is developed from these sharings, and the courage it takes to remove shame from this space is the step towards a fully embodied, healthy relationship. And I truly believe that. It is sacred and it is powerful, especially when self-mastery and self-awareness in pleasure practice opens this door into a journey of building and maintaining healthy relationships. And by healthy, I mean cooperative and co-creative rather than codependent. By taking the time to understand ourselves, firstly, on a deeper level, and prioritize our own pleasure, we pave the way for a more fulfilling and sustainable connection from others, because we're not seeking anything outside of ourselves. It's not coming from a place of need. Because what I've discovered is before I can truly connect with another, I must first develop a solid understanding of myself. And self-exploration, pleasure practice, involves delving into our own desires, values, strengths, weaknesses, beliefs, our vulnerabilities, our deep, dark secrets with ourselves, and trusting ourselves first and foremost to give that to ourselves. It's a very empowering place to begin. And by gaining insight into our own unique essence, we then become better equipped to communicate our needs, to set boundaries, and make an informed decision in relationships. And the self-exploration allows us to build a foundation of self-awareness, a really solid foundation, which is vital for fostering healthy connections with others. for myself personally, the moment I gave myself permission to empower myself through the act of self-exploration and to be loving towards myself and be my own lover, was not an easy thing, because we're not trained to act in this way. Well, I certainly am not. It's been my experience, and it is for many who I've spoken to. And the moving slowly and with compassion and with the utmost care and kindness towards ourselves is then mirrored back. And for me, it was a crystal clear mirror through my twin flame connection. And it was really interesting. I mean, it's not a fix it for all, and there were very many layers unveiling in the process, lots to be healed, as this exploration of pleasure and lightness allowed me to embrace my own heart and gave me a framework for compassion within my own relationships with others. And, we're all trying to figure this out. No one's got the 10-step program that works for the humanity. It's an individual delve into your own vulnerability, depending on from whence you are coming from, what aspects of your society, culture, religion, creating these spaces to feel safe in this exploration. And it's important to realize that it's absolutely normal. And it's absolutely part of our beingness as humans to engage in pleasure practice. It's not only just about bringing in joy and pleasure, but it is a way of cultivating self-esteem and confidence. And prioritizing pleasure creates a validation of our worthiness and fulfillment with and for ourselves. And then this can then be extended within relationships. It creates sovereignty within the body and within the capacity to feel confident in sharing your desires and needs in partnerships. And also, it creates a space for fostering stronger and much more meaningful connections. And certainly that's been my experience. And the key to all of this, as it is with all healthy relationships, is communication. And the more that you know yourself and feel safe with yourself, then the deeper you can reach in to sharing those aspects of you when you're ready within relationships. And it's not just a sexual thing either. I want to clarify that. Pleasure is not just about a sexual manifestation. Pleasure can just being in a joyful space, feeling enlivened by whatever it is that brings you joy and enlivens you. And you don't have to share those parts of yourselves with anyone, but giving yourself permission to have that exploration within that safe space of yourself is a beginning point, and it's a real gift that you can give to yourself and to your own relationships. Because also understanding your pleasure or what brings you pleasure can then create your healthy boundary as well. And understanding one's limits and being able to communicate them ensures that your needs are being met without compromising your well-being or overriding yourself for another. And being curious. For me, mastery is all-encompassing. And pleasure practice is part of that. And it encourages such deep self-care and that prioritization of the physical, emotional, and mental well-being. And how that then has created such a grounded way in which I approach everything in my life. I can really see that connectivity and that empowerment. And I'm not here to judge or make any grand sweeping statements. This has been my experience and my journey, and it is a spiral. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it's hard to break habits and we fall into routine, or even within ourselves. Our busy lives can take over and the mind doesn't switch off. Or we're overdoing pleasure. So we're maxing out and then creating more sensitivity and more subtlety is needed. So it's really about paying attention so you can feel and be in tune within your own nervous system. And within partnership, self-pleasure or self-exploration is also important because, as I've said this many times, we must in-source our self-love and pleasure and fullness and capacity for joy. And when we are in that overflow, then we share that with another. Because the moment we are pushing and pulling from our partners in romantic relationships, but even in friendships, in platonic relationships, when you're coming from a place of need and you're pulling or you're pushing, that creates codependence. So coming back into engaging within your own pleasure practice then creates this mutual growth and this environment of support and understanding, this environment of empathy and strength and bonding between people you care about within the union or within the friendship. And it is about sharing a part of yourself rather than this full merger. And it's a work in progress for me, as I said, it is a spiral. But the more I continue to refine and heal and explore my own self-exploration, the sharper these arrows into true connection are being revealed to me. And it's so interesting that, I always enjoy my alone time anyway. That's sort of my rest and regeneration and creativity space. But I'm feeling like the more I am engaging with this self-pleasure practice and fulfillment, the less I'm actually needing or even wanting that other. And that's been really interesting as well, because it feels like a recalibration breaking this conditioning of shame around pleasure and the pleasure blocks that often religion, culture, society, family upbringing can impose on an individual. And certainly I've experienced that, and the weight of that, and my rebellion of that to keep pushing and breaking and shattering those constructs. So that journey back into my own empowerment and my creator energy is purely sovereign, and it is about that activation of health in all aspects of the mental, physical, emotional, spiritual bodies. And I feel very strongly that this is the calibration needed for that conscious relationships that are emerging now and have been, it's not new, but there seems to be en masse that I'm noticing, particularly as the twin flames experience is activating for many. It is so much about interdependence and true self-mastery. It's extraordinary that something as simple as self-exploration, pleasure practice, can have so much power to quantum leap you into the best version of yourself as you come into union with your partner. And of course, it's a continuous wheel of discovery and polishing the diamond that we all are in this. But it's all right here in our body vessel, the key to everything. Well, there's a lot I want to share about this, but I feel like I'm going to go off into a tangent about how this has come about through a twin flame activation. So I feel like that's a whole new episode. So I might just finish off here. I really appreciate your time and in listening in this space of vulnerability that I find myself in. And as always, take care. Know your worth. You are enough beautiful, amazing beings of light, and pleasure is your birthright. We have come here to be in full enjoyment of everything that we experience, and it leads us into a deeper part of ourselves and hopefully into a more expansive, co-creative experience of relationship. You can reach me on my social media or website at nazaninmarashian.com, Instagram, or nazaninmarashian on the website. So until next time, beloveds, this is Nazanin Marashian, Love and Heart Art.